Hello and welcome to TV POV. I'm Jen.
And I'm Melissa.
Thank you so much to everyone who's been checking out the episodes and the website at watchtvpov.com. We've had a couple segments up and more coming, so keep checking it out. Again, as usual, lots of news this week, so let's get right into some headlines.
You've got a really interesting one that came out yesterday.
Yeah, interesting and kind of sad. Yvette Nicole Brown is leaving Community.
Aww, Shirley.
Yeah, and that comes on the heels of Chevy Chase leaving before season 5 and of Donald Glover leaving partway through season 5, which was a real blow. Like, that was incredibly sad. So it feels a little sad because, you know, everyone was so excited when Community got picked up for that 6th season on Yahoo. But so much of the original cast is now eroded. It's kind of starting to feel a little bit like a bummer.
Yeah, and I'm almost scared to say that maybe there'll be more going. I really think that it's a possibility.
Yeah, well, she does have a really good reason.
Yeah.
Her dad is sick, and the schedule of a single camera comedy, it's just not accommodating her. She wants to be able to take care of him pretty much almost every day. So it's hard to fault anyone for that situation.
Yeah.
If there's ever a good reason to leave, it's to take care of family members.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it just kind of makes me wonder if maybe Community is getting a little long in the tooth. And I'm still hopeful maybe they could bring in some fresh blood.
Yeah.
But it's sad to see a lot of the originals go, and it does dilute a series when that happens, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. 2 of the comedies that I fell in love with this summer were renewed for second seasons. FX's You're the Worst and Married. You're the Worst is moving to FXX, which is kind of a logical move. In Canada, it's already on FXX.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it is. Yeah, I think so. And the reason why that makes sense is because it does skew a bit younger. And if you haven't seen You're the Worst yet, track it down, watch it. It is honestly one of the best comedies ever. I think it is so good.
I haven't seen it, and I have a really good friend who's been like harassing me for weeks, like, why haven't you watched this yet? And then you were like, it's amazing. So enough people are I gotta start watching it.
Yeah, and then Married. I mean, Judy Greer is just phenomenal in everything she does, and Nat Faxon, who's playing her husband, and I mean the rest of the cast too. I mean, Jenny Slate's character on the show has just had this really, really neat kind of story throughout the season. Even though it's kind of a side character, it's still really, really cool. The other good thing about both of these renewals is that they are up to 13 episodes instead of 10 now.
Ooh.
So we'll get more of them.
It's good to see them having faith in their comedies. That's always nice.
Yes.
For sure. Speaking of comedies, Fox has given a script commitment to an interesting project. It's a TV series remake of the 80s movie Big. Yes, the Tom Hanks comedy that everybody loves is got a script commitment at Fox. And the other great thing about that is that the people behind that are Mike Royce and Kevin Beagle, who, if you're a fan, or were a fan, or are, no one's throwing the towel yet, there's still people out there campaigning, Enlisted. Those were the 2 guys behind that, and that show had one of the strongest comedy cult followings that I have seen in years.
It did, and it had one of the best, I'm still referring it to as a season finale. I would like it if it did, get resurrected somewhere else, although a couple of attempts have failed, unfortunately. I think Yahoo was one of them.
It was, I think, yeah.
The finale of that first season was really, really good.
So maybe, there's still a glimmer of hope, but if you just love those guys and you want to see their next project, this could be it. Certainly, I can completely see how Big would lend itself to a TV series.
Yeah. I'm curious to see casting.
Yeah.
I really want to see who's going to step into those roles.
Well, I'm just surprised that somebody hasn't done, like, an age body switch TV series yet. Now that I'm thinking about it, unless there's one that I'm not thinking of, but 13 going on 30, 17 again, Big, all these movies, it seems like it would be a great premise for a TV show. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. And if you're going to start with it, you should start with Big, which is the king of all of those movies. So
Yeah.
I hope to see if it gets ordered to pilot into series. That would be really interesting.
That'll be an exciting one. Two shows that people weren't sure if they would be back or not are the very, very soapy Mistresses on ABC and Devious Maids on Lifetime. So both of them will be back, although when it comes to Mistresses, they are losing a cast member. It was announced that Alyssa Milano will be leaving, and it's because the production is moving from Los Angeles to Vancouver, which, I mean, some people are like, oh, suck it up, why don't you just move with the show? She's she's got two little ones. She's got a routine established, a life established in LA. It's if you're not already living a life like that where you're, kind of ready to pick up and go, I can understand why someone wouldn't want to follow a production so far away from home.
Yeah, and Alyssa Milano always seems to find work. I know she's been in a lot of shows that were canceled as well, but she does seem to consistently be working, and maybe, it just really depends on the situation. I don't fault her for that, for sure. I don't really watch either of those shows. They're a little bit too soapy for me.
I'm the same, yeah.
But, Lifetime has had success with Devious Maids, and it is interesting.
What I have seen, I'm not a regular watcher, but I've watched the odd episode here and there, and it is super fun. Mark Cherry, who did Desperate Housewives, which is another show that I just watched very casually. I was never a dedicated watcher of. It's if you like that type of stuff, and with so many of the daytime soaps being canceled over the years, it's really fit in nicely for the people who are missing, One Life to Live and All My Children.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And I lied. I actually did watch one episode. I think I watched the pilot while drinking with my friend. It was those are good girls' night shows. I think both of those shows.
Yeah.
Those, grab a bottle of rosé or whatever, and
has to be rosé on girls' night.
I
know. That's why you drink
it. Pink liquid. Anyway, so if you're a fan of soap or girls' nights or pink wine, good news for you. AMC has come on board as a co-producer for the Channel 4 series Humans, which is in itself a remake of a Swedish series called Real Humans. And it's about a future in which humans, the latest tech to have is called a synth, which is essentially a humanoid-like servant who looks like a servant. So it's not reinventing the wheel in terms of the issue of how human do our robots get, which of course has been dealt with in lots of different series.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Channel 4. They do a really good job. So AMC is going to be airing that and co-producing that. What's interesting about that is that it was originally co-produced by Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Who got out of that business, and I think they were looking for a new co-producer, so now they have one. So expect to see that in 2015.
So it's not a reboot of Small Wonder from the 80s.
I don't know what that is. No.
There was the episode, it was a show about a family that has a robot that looks like a little girl, and her name was Vicky.
God, that sounds creepy. I'm guessing it was funny, but now because whenever there's little kids, it's like AI territory. You're like, oh, I'm so creeped out right now.
When I first heard this news, I was thinking the Almost Human, which died very quickly.
Yeah, another show that covered the subject of how human are robots. So maybe this one will do a little better. Yeah.
Amazon, who has been everywhere in the TV news world lately with the show Transparent, which in Canada I haven't had a chance to see yet.
No, I haven't either, but it's been on at the top of a lot of people's lists.
Yeah, so. And I've heard it's just fantastic. The next show, the pilots that they've, they'll put up pilots and have people vote. The next one that they've picked up is Hand of God, which is kind of exciting because it stars Ron Perlman, who I am such a fan of, and loved him on Sons of Anarchy and Hellboy. And in this one, if you haven't heard about that one yet, he is playing a judge, and I forget if it's an illness or an injury, something happens to him, and then he starts thinking that God is talking to him.
I know I'm not quite sure exactly what happens to him, some type of physical or mental breakdown, but he's a morally corrupt dude, right? So it's one of those situations in which you have a guy who doesn't care about anything, is kind of an asshole, and then starts to see the light or hear the voice
Yes.
of God, as is the case.
So that sounds promising.
Yeah.
They also have a couple of others that they're thinking of picking up. So we'll be keeping an eye on those. Problem is in Canada we really can't.
Yeah, I really want my Amazon Fire app for my Apple TV.
Yeah.
With the content from Amazon, I will pay for it. So
what about all the Canadians
get on
on
that
Kindles?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you can. Yeah, it's only on Amazon Prime, which is Amazon.com Prime. We have Amazon.ca. We don't have the same access to that. But there is Amazon Fire TV, which has the content from Amazon Prime and also all of like Netflix type content, older series that you can then stream.
Yeah.
But we don't have that in Canada, and like I've been trying to hope that they put it out because I want to add that app and watch it on my Apple TV and then subscribe. I want to pay. I'll pay.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
I'll happily pay too. Just make the service
get
available.
on it, Amazon. We Canadians, because immediate access to those shows because it's a really exciting process. And I love how they're putting this stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's almost like really getting to watch the development season of something, like as viewers, you see the pilots they put out, and there's less obviously than you would in a normal development season. And then you get to see which ones get picked up and have an impact on that by voting and viewing. So I want to be a part of that, damn it.
So do I.
Showtime fans, you've got 3 shows that announced their return date on Showtime. January 11th, you can look for episodes of Shameless, House of Lies, and episodes of Episodes.
Yay! I watch all 3 and love them, so I can't wait.
Yeah, you got a little while. You are going to have to wait. January 11th, it's a little bit off, but now you at least know the date at which you can mark in your Showtime.
Exactly, and I was really excited. I'm really excited for the upcoming season of House of Lies because someone that I really liked was cast in a recurring role. Valerie Curry, who was on The Following.
Oh, yeah.
That after season 2, she was no longer on The Following.
Yeah.
She will have a recurring role, and also Dimitri Martin was just recently cast.
Okay,
so,
nice.
They've got some interesting people. Episodes, I can't wait to see what happens next. Every time they think they are out of it, they're leaving, it's going away.
Suck back in.
Exactly, they get sucked back into LA. And Shameless, oh gosh, Shameless. I've watched the British one as well.
Yeah?
And, I mean, initially the first few seasons of the British one were really, really good, and then it kind of slid. And what's really impressed me with the Showtime one is that the quality from season to season has remained consistent. And there was a big cliffhanger at the end of last season that I can't wait to see how it's resolved, because it was insane.
Well, that's really exciting. It's always good to get 3 shows back in one night, too. It's like... Woohoo!
Yeah. And one final new series announcement. FX has ordered a comedy pilot from the team behind It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This one is called Pariah, and it stars comedian Bill Burr. And the premise sounds really cool. It's a TV personality that is forced out of showbiz after having an on-air meltdown. And as he's trying to find a job elsewhere, he realizes he has 0 skills.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
This sounds like a lot of fun.
That's a good premise.
The Sunny team is hysterical. So I'm expecting it'll be funny and probably dark.
Yeah. Yeah, dark comedy definitely sounds like that.
Yeah.
So now it's time for casting news and our favorite casting tidbits of the week. Mine is that Josh Holloway is going to be in a new series. Josh was in Intelligence last season, which got canceled, but of course we're all still just loving him from his days on Lost as Sawyer. So he is going to be starring in Colony, which is a USA series from his old Lost producer, Carlton Cuse, which is really exciting. And Carlton Cuse has been doing a lot of cool things lately, getting a lot of good press and doing more and more series. He did The Strain on FX, so
Bates Motel on A&E.
Right, with Damon Lindelof. Right, yeah. So he's got his hands in a lot of TV projects right now, so this is one of the latest. And the premise of the series is another alien show in which there Earth is occupied by aliens, and they've kind of become an occupying government. And so he's playing an FBI agent. He's in LA. He's sort of forced to work with the alien occupation officers. So
weren't we just talking about an alien series last
on
week?
Sci-Fi, yeah, which was an
illegal
underground terrorist network of aliens. So I guess maybe this is kind of like the futuristic version. First they're the terrorists, now they're the government, and maybe who knows what's next. But anyway, so he's working with the alien government.
It sounds intriguing. I guess the important question is how many opportunities will there be for Josh Holloway to not wear a shirt?
Well, that is obviously the important question. And to flash those dimples. I mean, I'm a little concerned because it seems a little dark, and I expect a lot of smiling from Josh Holloway since that's what I look forward to. Hopefully there'll be some moments for him to
I like the sarcasm. I love when he's sarcastic.
He's the king of sarcasm.
Yeah. So, some other casting news that I was so excited about. I'm a huge Lost Girl fan. I've been a Lost Girl fan forever. One of the cast members from that show, Ksenia Solo, was cast for the second season of AMC's series Turn, which, if you haven't seen it yet, it's about America's First Spy Ring, based on a popular book. And the first season was really, really kind of cool. I'm not quite finished it, but I like what I saw of it. The character she's going to be playing is Peggy Shippen, who's a character from history, who goes on to become Benedict Arnold's wife.
Ooh.
So, an intriguing role for her. Lots of periods. Luckily, she got used to wearing all those corsets on Lost Girl, because it'll come in handy on
different kind of corset, but the lace up is the same.
Exactly. So I'm super excited to see her in this role and see how the second season of that show goes.
There's been a glut of new series and season premieres to talk about. Some really exciting stuff.
Why don't we start things off by chatting about one of the new series that premiered, a comedy on ABC that's called Selfie.
Selfie, yeah. This one had so much press because of the title itself. Yeah. Just calling a show Selfie. It's very social media. It's very next generation. So everyone was talking about kind of is this going to be a stunt, or is there going to be a quality show behind this?
And it's kind of a world of social media take on the Pygmalion My Fair Lady story.
Yeah.
But instead of being kind of an unrefined woman, this is actually someone who's so self-obsessed she doesn't care about anything else. All she cares about is how many likes she's getting on Facebook and how many retweets, and she's totally preoccupied by social media, so much so that she doesn't know how to have relationships with human beings. Yeah,
she's living her whole life online, and then she realizes there isn't a lot of substance behind that. She doesn't have any real friends. So for her makeover, she turns to someone at her advertising company who, in a cute little storyline, had managed to take a nasal spray that was causing satanic hallucinations in children and turn the marketing around on that to give it a completely positive image. Yeah. So she thinks, if this guy can do that for a nasal spray, imagine what he can do for me. Yeah. So she turns to this guy who's kind of the anti-social media dude. He's he's very kind of anti-social, he's very old school, he's against all of that newfangled stuff. Yeah. So they agree that he's going to try to make her over as a more real person of substance.
Yeah, and the casting in the show is great. It stars Karen Gillan from Doctor Who and from Guardians of the Galaxy back in the summer, and John Cho, who we've loved on Sleepy Hollow and the Harold and Kumar movies, and as Sulu on Star Trek.
Yes,
Really, really great casting. I went into this episode with the full intention of hate watching it.
Yeah, so you were looking forward to hate watching it.
I was really looking forward to hate watching it, and it ended up being kind of charming.
Yes.
It has some things it needs to work out. It has to try and find its footing. Like, it doesn't quite seem to know what it is yet. Yeah. But there's potential there. So I'm going to keep watching to see where it ends up. And I was kind of charmed by the end of it. So I think I'll keep watching. I'm not sure what you thought of it. You were a little more open to this going in.
I liked the trailer. I think that helped, and I do form a lot of my first opinions on trailers. There have been things that I haven't watched just because their trailers were so bad, and things that I've been so disappointed in because their trailers were so good. I was pleasantly surprised by this too, though. I didn't expect to hate it necessarily, but I actually really enjoyed it. I think I liked the writing, but I'm very much a fan of quick, peppy, snappy dialogue, which, let's face it, social media was all about. I mean, it does kind of overindulge in the language of social media in that first episode, and I would be interested to see how that would translate to someone who isn't familiar with that stuff, because you and I both are. We may not be selfie obsessed, but we do understand the lingo, and so it was easy for me to follow and to laugh and to hashtag this, and it made perfect sense to me. And it flowed very well as dialogue. Like I loved how they formed those sentences. Like I'm just really into that kind of stuff, so I really enjoyed that. I thought the first episode was structured really well. The plot came together. I think the one thing that I was sort of a little bit worried by is it kind of feels like they are setting this up as a potential romance, because that's the Pygmalion story as well. I don't mind the two of them as a team, but I didn't see any romantic chemistry between them.
See, I saw a little bit of chemistry, and I find the prospect of them potentially ending up together probably one of the most intriguing things about this, because you're not seeing, first of all, an Asian male in the lead.
Well, that's great.
On a network comedy is great.
No, really
and having kind of this interracial couple, I think is a good thing. My biggest problems are probably like how the women were treated in it. They're just very kind of no dimensions. And I mean, that's kind of important to the story they're telling, but at the same time, I think those female characters need to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's true. But overall, I would say that it was cute, and I would definitely give it another shot. I mean, the pace of it really works for me, and I think that's something I would come back to just based on that alone.
One of our favorite shows returned over the past week for its final season. Parenthood. Yeah.
Choking on that sentence a bit there.
And what a way for it to come back.
Fantastic.
The season premiere was called Vegas, which was fantastic because Sarah Braverman decides it's her dad's birthday. She's taking him gambling and drinking in Vegas, which I was just like, what an awesome father-daughter relationship, that she's like, Dad, pack your bags, we're going to Vegas.
It was really
loved
great.
that aspect of it, but as we know, some kind of sad things happened while they were in Vegas. Zeke, the patriarch of the family, had a health issue, which he just quickly brushed off, but it looks like we haven't seen the end of that. And when we were talking before the season started, I was like, I hope they don't. Like, it looks like there's going to be a death, and maybe it's Camille, maybe it's Zeke.
Well, that's, when I saw him, he basically passed out, or he didn't quite pass out, he fell over and nearly passed out at some type of gambling table. Was it craps? Was it blackjack? I don't know. It's some kind of, I don't gamble.
Like that.
Yeah, he was gambling, and he fell over and was rushed to the hospital. And all I could think of was, I was with you last week and saying you really hope they didn't go there with the death storyline.
Yeah.
And I also hope they don't go there. I'm hoping that it does look like that's going to be developed further, because in the preview they're talking about further health issues for him. So it's not just going to blow over. But I'm hoping that because they've started off with that, it would be too expected now for them to take that into a death storyline. Unless, of course, it's going to be like he gets better and then she dies, which is
my
just,
God.
Come on, what are you doing to us, damn it?
Yeah.
That's too much. So, but it was sad, but it was also really funny, because you had all of these other siblings, namely Crosby and Adam, back trying to figure out what the hell was going on and not really trusting Sarah to deal with it. So then they showed up in Vegas, and everyone's trying to drag Zeke from the gambling tables, and instead they all end up just gambling together. One Braverman party taking selfies of themselves gambling at the table. So.
Yeah. And then there's poor Julia, who's back at home, and she runs to be with her mother to, kind of get through this whole crisis, and is worried. Plus, everything is going on with her. She's moved on, I guess, from Joel, and is seeing an old schoolmate of hers that is works at the new firm she's at.
That was a big story, yes.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that last week too, about what's going to happen between Joel and Julia, and I think they were obviously the couple in the biggest amount of flux at the end of the season, so we wondered where they were going to pick that up. I like that they've chosen to put her with somebody else. I think, I still hope she ends up with Joel, but I like that they, she kind of lost a lot of herself last season, and that is sort of part of why her marriage to Joel fell apart in the first place, is because she didn't know who she was, and she was a stay-at-home mom for the first time, and she was struggling, and now this feels like she's regained herself, not just because she's not with Joel, but because she's back at work, and she's just gained some of that confidence, and maybe she has to go through that to get into a place where she can get back together with Joel. And also, he gave her a really hard time for what happened. She did kiss somebody else, but she was waiting around for him. So now she's not anymore, which means the tables have turned, and it's a good dynamic. She's sort of taking control of her own life.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see. The charter school that Adam and Christina founded with the money that was left to her by her departed friend. That opened, and there was a great scene where Christina and Max are watching paint dry.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, well, what are we doing? Well, we're watching paint
Which
dry.
he enjoys, obviously.
Yes. But then there was the whole struggle with him saying, well, I'm not going to this school. I like homeschooling. I like doing that, and then going to hang out with Hank and talk photography and work on that stuff. Yeah. So trying to convince him to go to the school that they basically founded for him.
Yeah, there was great stuff there.
He was the foundation of that. So that was a really great storyline. And then
it was great with Joel coming in to help them on that too, because it was nice to see the connection that they still have to him. How it affects Julia, that the second he shows up, they're all like, oh, here's a missing member of our family. Yeah. And he, of course, is such a great guy. He stays up all night to do the plumbing on this place that's behind.
Their contractor messed them over. Yeah. Everyone knows what that's like.
They do, yeah. But so there was, a lot of people getting involved in there, and kind of nice. And the other...
The big thing, which was the cliffhanger from last season, was, is Amber pregnant or not? And as we saw in the opening scene, oh my God, is she ever? Yes. And still kind of unsure of what she's going to do. Yeah. No one, at the beginning of the episode, no one knew about it except for the doctor. Which is crazy. And she kind of gets moody when they're painting at the school. It's her and her cousins and her brother's girlfriend, and Hattie's talking about, oh, I'm going to be away, I'm going to be in Europe, and I'm going to do this, and I don't know if I'm going to do this, and Amber's just, really, snippy with her. Yeah. And then that ends up when Hattie's like, you know what, I'm not okay with you being a jerk to me.
I like how she handled that.
And Amber's like, well, I'm pregnant, and it was just them drink... I had Friday Night Lights flashbacks.
Because they were drinking out of football.
Yes! Well, Amber wasn't drinking, but Hattie was drinking enough for both of them. Yeah. And I just had that Friday Night Lights moment for a second where I'm like, oh, they're bonding on a field.
Yeah, that's where bonding happens.
And basically it came down to, Hattie's like, well, whatever you decide, your mom needs to know. Tell your mom, she'll be understanding. And the episode ends with her, and Sarah's reaction was just like, okay, we don't know. Obviously it's the last thing she wanted for her daughter. Yeah. She wanted so much more from Amber.
Because she was pregnant young as well. I mean, she was married, but we think she was married anyway. She was in a relationship, but it's still very young, and it's hard, and she probably does.
And also being with, the unstable person, and she's had her own problems as well, so.
She struggled through that watching Amber with Ryan, because as much as Ryan is a nice guy, Sarah went through so much with her husband, and just him not being able, for whatever fault of his own or fault of his addictions, he couldn't be there, he couldn't support her, and it was always about how unstable and destructive he was. Yeah. And although Ryan is a different person, it sort of turned into the same thing. Is that through no fault of his own, perhaps because of his, post-traumatic stress disorder and all kinds of other things, it always had to be about him. It always had to be about him and how messed up he was. And it wasn't fair to Amber. So Sarah had to struggle with a lot of that, and now this is another kind of, you know, very emotional, tough situation that she has to go through with her daughter.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see where that's going to pick up.
So I thought I would do a little pass the tissue segment about that episode, because I did tear up during the episode once in a major way, during one scene which just really kind of choked me up. It was outside the school as all of the kids came in. So as you mentioned, Christina and Adam had been, you know, sort of arguing with Max and delicately pushing him and trying to forcefully push him and to get him to go to the school, because they've done all of this really. I mean, they want to help other kids too, but they've done this because of what happened to him and how much he's struggled and how his experience has been so awful. So, you know, he kept insisting he didn't want to go. He wanted to be homeschooled. He didn't want to go. And Adam told him that he should do it not for himself, but for his mother, because of how much she does for him. And, you know, we look for a while, like, we're not sure whether he's going to show up. And as the school opens, all the kids are walking in, and Christina's greeting them each individually.
Yeah.
And then Max shows up, and she shakes his hand, and she says, "Max Braverman, welcome." And I just teared up.
You know what? I didn't tear up, but that really got me. That scene got me. Actually, the moment where I almost teared up was when they panned in on the wall in the school, and there was the picture of, and I'm totally gonna forget her name, Gypsy.
Oh,
she was Gypsy on Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
The picture of her, that was just such a nice nod to, because all of these dreams that they had that never would have come true if it wasn't for, like, you know, this miracle that came out of a really tragic circumstance.
Yeah. Those were the kind of moments. It's not a sad moment. It's more like you take the depth and meaning of that moment, and it really just gets you.
Yeah.
It gets you. So I was.
Yeah.
It did not underdeliver on emotional depth, I would say.
It was in all of its tissue-worthy glory. I think that wraps up this episode of TV POV. Once again, if you want to catch all of what we are doing, we're adding more segments every day. Hit up watchtvpov.com. Jen recently did a little "In Case You Missed It" segment on the 100, so you might want to check that out. I will have a segment going up very soon as well, so keep checking that out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what shows you're watching and that you might want us to discuss, and we'll be back again next week with another episode.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.